I'm doing this video as Shannon. No jersey required. So, I did a video today about how, or was it last night, about how I'm a hockey fan. Tonight I watched the Canucks win a game. Big game. Nice game. Fun game. Here's the thing. For me to cover absolutely everything going on in the NHL, I'd have to watch 15 games tonight. I don't have the resources to do that. Most people realize that. The other thing is, I always see the comments like, you need to cover this guy, this guy, this guy, this guy. All right, here are the current players who may get 100 points this year. Stamkos, Kucherov, Gaudreau, Schenn, Schwartz, Tarasenko, McDavid, Voracek, Scheifele, Wheeler, not counting guys who may be on a 100-point pace but aren't in that top realm. 50 goal scorers, Kucherov, Tavares, Stone, Ovechkin. And just below them, maybe in that 50-goal range, Evander Kane, Tarasenko, Couturier, Monahan, Matthews. Rookies, 70 points. Keller, Besser, Barzal. 60 points. Butcher, Kerfoot, Hischier. And that was cutting off a bunch of guys who are probably going to get about 50 points, which is insane for rookies. This has been the highest scoring first quarter of hockey that I've seen in a while. And even though scores have started coming down, there's a lot of fun hockey to watch. Now, for me personally, I would love to sit down and do videos on everybody. I don't have time. And there's teams that people say, well, why don't you cover this team more? Because I probably don't watch as many of their games as I watch of the other teams. And then the idea that I'm going to be, instead of flipping between a Vancouver game and a Boston game, I'm instead going to flip to games I don't really have an interest in. That just doesn't work. Tonight felt like something really cool happened. That I watched Vancouver win, and then I watched Boston win in a shootout on a McAvoy shot, of all people. And Charlie McAvoy's having a fantastic rookie season. He's not in here, but he could very well be one of the top three. Him and Sergachev, in my mind, are equal in terms of their defensive output. The difference is McAvoy's been playing a buttload of minutes as a Boston Bruins defenseman. He's been playing a ton. Hudobin, again, fantastic for Boston. Looks great in there. Colorado gets a shutout. Good for Bernier. I watched maybe a minute and a half of that game. Honest. Absolutely honest. And I saw Bernier make a couple of nice saves. I'm like, all right, well, Bernier had a good night. Dallas didn't. And that's it. I find it funny because, I try to report on as much as I can, but there's only so much I can watch. I'm one person. So, the expectation of, well, you gotta, just have all this massive coverage. Well, I don't have all the editors and, I'm talking about all these video editors that feed all this footage to people in Sportsnet and TSN studios. And I guarantee you, most of those people that you watch on television are just seeing highlights for most of these games. They're not sitting there at home going, oh, I got to watch 15 games before I go to work. They're not. They're not expected to. Because, of course, with sports broadcasters, they have to follow football, baseball, basketball. They have to follow everything. So odds are they're watching less than I do. So I can only talk about the stuff I'm picking up on. I can discuss that Schenn, Schwartz, and Tarasenko are playing fantastic. I can. And the comment was made about, oh, McKinnon doesn't get any love. Then you're not paying attention. Because I've absolutely talked about Nathan McKinnon. I have talked about him on Twitter, and I've talked about him on here. I have talked about the Avalanche. I've talked about every single team in the league. Yeah, I'm going to have coverage for teams that I cheer for more than others. If I do a video on the Vancouver Canucks, I label it as a Canucks video, meaning people have the choice of. I've told Yvonne this too, where I've said, well, I did a video tonight, and people weren't happy, and she's like, didn't they see the title? I'm like, yep. Why did they click on it? I don't know. People know not to click on things. I look at view counts on different videos, and some videos you get 8,000, and other videos I get 1,500, and I know that at the time I post them. I know when I talk about whether or not Gretzky would have been a Canuck, not everybody's going to care, but there's going to be people that didn't know. The funny thing was when people are like, oh, all you're talking about now is the Leafs. Because I watched the Leafs game and I saw some of the coverage they were doing there and I wanted to talk about it. And then there was the disputed goal, and I wanted to talk about that. What I do on this channel is try to discuss the hockey I've seen, not the hockey I haven't, the information that I get, and in some cases, if I think TSN or Sportsnet has reported something that's not completely accurate, I have no problem calling them out on it. But again, it's usually going to be Canadian teams. Coverage on American teams in Canada is limited. Very, very limited. The highlights for American teams are usually, here's how it works. TSN and Sportsnet starts up, and because there's Grey Cup coming up, they talk about the Grey Cup first. When World Series was on, they talked about the World Series first, and hockey comes second. So hockey comes in, and you talk about the Leafs first, because you always talk about the Leafs first. And I'm not saying that to be mean, I'm saying because that's what happens. Then you talk about Montreal. You talk about Edmonton, because you're going through your biggest fan bases. And in Edmonton, you've got Connor McDavid, your biggest draw. Vancouver's probably fourth to get covered right now because of the fact they're a surprise. Then you get Calgary. Calgary gets kind of forgotten. Ottawa will get covered a little bit more right now because of Duchesne. And then you got Winnipeg, who right now are having a very good game against the Kings. And I've been watching that. So, after all of those highlights, and they're going to get chopped short because they got to make room for all these basketball games that are coming up after. And if the Raptors are playing, well, then the Raptors are going to be talked about right after the Leafs in some cases because the Raptors are off to a really good start. So, now you're into the part of the show where they're probably going to talk about curling, because curling is the thing in Canada, and they talk about it on all the sports broadcasts. And somewhere around the second commercial break, sometimes they'll throw in the last of the hockey scores, and it'll be two American teams that they know they have very few people watching that they're going to care about it. Part of the reason this channel was created is because I try to do my best to cover as much as possible. But I'm one person. I can't cover all of it. I'm not intentionally ignoring anything. That's the part that I actually find that kind of humorous. The idea that I'm intentionally omitting teams or things that happen. I don't know why I would do that. I watched Antti Niemi tonight against Nashville, and he played really well. And I felt bad for him that he lost. And I say that despite the fact that I can't stand Montreal. And when I do my season or the nightly wrap up tonight, I will discuss that. Because to me, Niemi had the best game he's had in years, and Montreal didn't bail him out. And I felt bad about that. You know, they talked about, oh, well, Montreal clawed back to get a point. Montreal clawed back because Niemi played great. Niemi held his own against Pekka Rinne. And when Carey Price is ready to go, and as Price and Lindgren, because I think Montoya's time is done in Montreal, Montoya and Niemi will both be waived. They're not going to carry three goaltenders. So tonight may have been Niemi's last chance to prove himself. And he did. In the midst of a horrible season, he proved himself tonight. I can only talk about the things I see. I can only talk about the hockey I watched. And I can only draw conclusions based on what I see during the game. And if you watch the game, you may have the same conclusions. But based on the fact that there's almost 22,000 subscribers on this channel, there are people who are going to see things that I talk about that didn't watch the game. So that's why I do what I do. And it's important to me to make sure I present the information in as unbiased a term as possible. I just told you I cheered for Montreal against Nashville. I can't stand Montreal. But for Niemi tonight, I wanted to see him get that win. I wanted to see one goal go in so that he got that win in regulation or in overtime. Because in the grand scheme of things, with the stats that Niemi has, tonight's game isn't going to make a huge difference. It's not going to make his stats look really good. So when the day comes that he gets waived by Montreal, people are going to go, good riddance, he didn't win a game anyways, he sucks. And sure, I may have laughed this morning, but he shut me up tonight. So I do my best to cover everything. to cover everyone equally. But I'm always going to have more to say about games I watch than games I don't. The other option is just to say, okay, well, I'm going to stop covering those teams at all. I just won't even mention those games. We'll just talk about the games I watched tonight and who cares about the rest of it. That's ridiculous. That's not going to happen. But when I'm spending between 6 hours and some days 9 hours a day watching hockey, and the only reason, and there's times where I watch a game like, let's say, LA and Anaheim, where I just don't care and I'm like, I just want to go to bed. Or I just want to watch something else. Why am I still watching hockey? All right, I have to see what happens here. And it's for these videos, for you guys, that I do that. So yeah, I get kind of worked up when I'm accused of, you're biased. Seriously? I have to watch a game between two teams I couldn't give two damns about so that I can do a video after where I at least can say what I saw? Not because I cared about who won that game, but because I cared enough about the channel to sit through 3 hours of hockey and watch it. And sometimes it's as exciting as watching paint dry. Where I'm like, I don't care who wins, just get it over with. Oh, they threw the puck out again. Oh, the coach called a timeout. Oh, shoot me now. But I do it for this channel. And no regrets. None. But, you know, it's something to keep in mind because it is funny how people talk about other channels, and most other channels are geared towards one fan base or two. Most. Not all. Most. So the idea that I am trying to cater to all 31 fan bases, that I'm flicking back and forth between Anaheim and Vegas and LA and Winnipeg, rather than, I don't know, I didn't really leave the house today. I did videos this morning. I had an interview this morning, which will be posted online in a few weeks. Yeah, that interview I talked about a while ago happened this morning. So, you know, I've been in the house all day. I would love to have gone to the mall. I wanted desperately to go to the mall and check my mail. Didn't have the time. Yvonne went down and had a very nice American Thanksgiving with her best friend. I stayed home because I had to work on the channel. So I avoided leaving the house at all, doing Thanksgiving dinner, going shopping, having fun, and all of this because I have to stay home and watch as much hockey as humanly possible. And when you're trying to skip around between 7 or 8 different games, you're going to miss games. You're going to go, oh, right, yeah, that's on. Oh, right, yeah, okay. So I can only talk about what I see. It'd be disingenuous for me to sit here and discuss something I didn't see, as if I saw it. You guys get enough of that on the news. You guys get enough of that on TSN and Sportsnet, where these guys will sit there and they'll sit at the round table and go, oh, look at the record. This team sucks. Oh, look at the record. This team's doing just great. And meanwhile, I may have done a video the night before where I'm like, man, they were lucky to come out of there with a win. Or, yeah, they lost, but man, they got screwed. That's the difference I try to provide for you guys. That's what I try to do. That's why I try to watch every game. And on days like today, I just can't. So I can only report on what I see. And the Avs whooped Dallas. I'm happy for the Avs. This is part of what's happened. This is how my fandom has shifted. I've gone from I am a Canucks, Bruins, Dallas fan to I am a hockey fan. I will watch everything and I will see the big picture. But I will still tend to watch teams I cheer for. I want to watch Charlie McAvoy in his rookie season because he's special. I want to watch Brock Besser score 2 goals in a game again. He's the most exciting goal-scoring rookie the Canucks have had since Pavel Bure, who came along in 1991. It's been 26 years since the Canucks had a rookie I was this excited about. So yeah, I'm going to crow about him. Because he's kind of fantastic to watch. And if he was in Toronto, I guarantee he would be crowed about almost as much as Matthews. If he was in Pittsburgh, we'd be hearing about this fantastic Brock Besser winger who, with Crosby as his center, has scored 18 goals already. I'm guessing he'd have an extra 7 goals if he was in Pittsburgh, playing with Crosby or Malkin. Bo Horvat, I love the guy, but He's not the greatest passer, and he's not in that Crosby-Malkin category in terms of centers. So it's kind of a funny thing, because I try to be as much of everything as I can be, and yet there are limitations, and I admit them. I admit my limitations. What I've watched and what I haven't. And teams that have a coach that should be fired and teams that shouldn't. And for me, right now, if I'm being honest, the Oilers, absolutely. If it was anybody but Todd McClellan, if this was a no-name coach, he would have been out of there already. Because the Oilers are not playing a good game. They won today. They beat Detroit. Fantastic. They are still not in a very good position. And I still think any other coach would have been out of there. But because of Todd McClellan's name, because of the reputation he brought with him when he came to Edmonton, he will keep his job for now. So there you go. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. Please be nice. It's just you know, I was having this nice conversation with Yvonne, and then I checked the comment section, like, anyways. And it just killed that whole conversation. So understand, I am homebound a lot of the time for this channel and for you guys, and I don't mind doing it. I don't mind missing out on going out shopping and jogging and enjoying myself. I need to start jogging. I need to start getting myself into some kind of a routine and get out of the house. But when you got 15 games, you can't. And then tomorrow, I've got all this other exciting stuff where I'm going to talk about statistical stuff. I'm going to talk about playoffs. I'm going to project out who would win the Stanley Cup right now. And I'll go round by round based on who would face each other after all of tonight's games are in the books. And I think it'll be fun. So, again, thanks for watching. Hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through and you like hockey. Because I love hockey. I bleed and breathe hockey. I get up in the middle of the night to check view counts, make sure all my videos are serving. I check everything with videos. And if I wake up in the middle of the night and there's something gone wrong or there's some kind of a flame war, I have no problem coming down here to my computer in the middle of the night and fixing it. And if I have to ban people, I ban people, whatever I got to do. And if there's a video that YouTube goes, we can't monetize this, I come down here and fix it. This is a 24/7 job. It is absolutely a 24/7 job. But it is something I love doing. So when people say, oh, don't stop doing it. Oh, I'm not going to. But it also means I can't start catering to what everybody else wants. Because if I cater to these people here, I'll make another group angry. You can never make everybody happy. And I know that. But I also have no problem coming on here and doing a video where I answer, here's why I don't talk about everything. Look at these guys. All on pace for 100 points. I haven't done a video on the Jets and the fact they got 2 guys on pace for 100 points. I haven't talked about Voracek. I haven't talked about the Blues line other than the video I did on the Blues today. Johnny Gaudreau I've done one video on. I think I know I did a video about Calgary kind of, and I talked about Gaudreau and how Monahan's fantastic too. Monahan's down here in the possible 50 category. I've barely talked about Stone. I've meant to do an RFA video. I haven't done that yet because we got some interesting RFAs coming up next summer. I haven't done a video specifically on Tavares. I haven't talked about Kucherov's on pace for 50 goals and 100 points, and talked about how the Hart Trophy race would work out right now between Stamkos and Kucherov because those two could split the vote. And thus they could split the vote and you could watch Johnny Gaudreau walk away with it. There's lots of stuff left for me to talk about. There's only so many hours in the day. So I do my best. I give you my word, I do my best to serve you guys with the best material. And I was really excited after tonight's game because that game, I've never watched Vancouver play back-to-backs in Pennsylvania and look that solid. It's never happened. Where the work ethic is there and the passing is on point and everything just looks good. From centers, wingers, defense, goaltending, it's insane. So yeah, I'm excited. When your team has never won anything since 1970, you can get kind of excited when they go on a run. Even if it's only a couple games. Even if it all falls apart from here and they fall to 29th overall. At least I know they made the effort. And I would say the same thing right now about the Avalanche. Even if from here the Avalanche's season falls apart, at least they've made an effort. And the early season returns have saved the job of Joe Sakic. I was 100% wrong about Joe Sakic. He did fantastic in the trade of Matt Duchene. The fact that the Senators have lost since they got Duchene, and Nashville and Colorado have played very well since that trade, does kind of tell me something about Matt Duchene. And I haven't done a video about that yet either, because I thought I did enough Duchene videos. So there you go. Thanks for watching if you made it to this point. If you didn't, I understand. And I'll talk to you again soon.